Hello, friend. I want to tell you about the Peugeot 407 car. The Peugeot 407 had a fairly extensive range of engines, some of which came from its predecessor. Petrol units started with a 1.8-liter capacity of 116 horsepower and ended with a 211 horsepower 2.9-liter engine. Diesels are known HDI designs with a capacity of 1.6 to 2.7 L. The weakest had 109 horsepower and is a very popular engine, used in many models. Not only the French brand, larger ones also found their way under the hoods of competitors. The most powerful diesel has 6 cylinders and provides sensational performance thanks to the power of 240 horsepower and a torque of 450 nanometers. In this article, we will deal with the weakest diesel, because the equally popular 2.0 HDI engine was basically described in the Ford Mondeo Mk4. The 1.6 HDI unit powered not only Peugeots, but also Citroëns, Fords, Mazdas, Minis, Suzukis, and Volvos. It was no accident that it became one of the most popular engines of its time. It cannot be said that it was a failed engine, since it was successfully installed in brands such as Volvo and Suzuki, which tend to care about the reliability of their products. This unit is marked DV6 TED4, and from the very beginning, it was very advanced technically, meeting Euro 4 emission standards. Unlike the weaker 90 horsepower version not used in this model, the more powerful version always has a variable geometry turbocharger and a dual mass flywheel, as well as a particulate filter, in Peugeots of the FAP type, wet. The injection system was supplied by Bosch, but some are equipped with Siemens components. Thanks to its modern design, the small capacity was enough to power even large cars, such as the Peugeot 407. In this model, it developed 109 horsepower and 240 nanometers of torque at 1,750 revolutions per minute. And thanks to the overboost function, this value temporarily increased to 260 nanometers. 1.6 HDI is the weakest engine in the Peugeot 407 range. It provides decent performance, better than the 2 weakest petrol engines. However, it beats them by a class in fuel consumption. On the road, it can go below 5 L, 100 kilometers, and on average, it burns about 6.0 L, 100 kilometers. What's wrong with the Peugeot 407? Since we're on the subject of the engine, let's stay on this subject for a moment, because the 1.6 HDI is plagued by minor, sometimes annoying faults. In fact, the engine hasn't escaped most of the problems that affect modern common rail injection designs, but they're not major. You can't complain about the timing belt drive, which is durable and reliable. Unfortunately, the same does not apply to the chain connecting the 2 camshafts, which, however, even when extremely loose, did not cause unpleasant failures. It is necessary to shorten the replacement period of the timing set with the chain, because the 240 kilometers suggested by the manufacturer is a bit too much. I suggest a maximum of 150 kilometers. In addition, in the meantime, you have to replace the accessory drive belts because the perishable element here is the pulley with the torsional vibration damper, which tends to delaminate. If you replace the belts and the chain at the same time, there will be no problems with this. The injection system is also durable, especially Bosch, but with mileage above 200 kilometers, you have to expect potential wear. If we have a Bosch system in the engine, it won't be too expensive, but Siemens components are already expensive. Users of 1.6 HDI units complain about the durability of the dual mass flywheel. The reason is simple: low engine power and high vehicle weight. This also applies to the Peugeot 407. Fortunately, it is not expensive. The biggest problem with this unit is the turbocharger. Seizures often occur, but the culprit is a small thing, the oil line, which after some time becomes clogged and prevents oil from flowing through this device. The same applies to the strainer itself before the line. Preventive replacement, or at least cleaning every 50 kilometers, using high-quality oil and changing it every 10 to 15 kilometers, solve the problem. Unfortunately, You should take into account that the first users did not do this, so it is best to have this cable replaced immediately after purchasing the car. Replacing glow plugs can be a problem. Not only are they long, but access to them is also very difficult. Mechanics often want incomparably higher prices for replacing them in the 1.6 HDI engine. And for dessert, we have a particulate filter. You have to keep an eye on the fuel additive that lowers the temperature of combustion of particulate matter. A fluid called Eolus 176 is added every 80 to 120 kilometers, so it is best to have its level checked right after buying the car. The filter itself is relatively durable, lasting up to 200 kilometers or more, but gas pressure difference sensors sometimes fail. So much for the engine. What about the complicated suspension? It's not that bad, because the manufacturer designed them as if they were thinking about users of several-year-old models. And it's not even about the durability of the components, which in this respect are rather average, but about the possibility of replacing the silent blocks and pins in the front axle. To sum up, on the one hand, the durability of the suspension is average, but on the other hand, it can be repaired relatively cheaply. Despite this, many units knock and bang, and if you can't hear anything in a car imported from abroad, then after a short use on European roads, something will definitely start to sound. The corrosion protection deserves praise. Although the car is not perfect in this respect, it holds up well against, among others, Japanese competitors. When buying a car, do not check the thickness of the paint on the hood with a standard sensor, because it is made of aluminum. The biggest and most annoying problem is frequent electronic failures. Errors and misleading messages appear, and the worst thing is that not every mechanic wants to deal with it. Often, the right tools are needed. The BSI controller known from PSA cars is responsible for everything. Its minor failures are sometimes difficult to repair, but serious problems occur rarely. However, if they do occur, the repair costs can be high. In addition, the central locking system fails, or the lampshade burns out after a short circuit in the wiring loom. Is it worth buying a Peugeot 407? Peugeot 407 is a car without problems, and diesel engines certainly bring more. If someone cares mainly about reliability, it is better to choose a 2-liter petrol, to which an LPG installation can be installed. The 1.6 HDI engine is not without its faults, but it is also one of the most successful designs in this class. Its popularity is not accidental. Reliability is at a good level, although various failure tests say otherwise. They slightly spoil the image of Peugeot because such trifles as a single play in the suspension or a burnt-out bulb are counted as a fault. If you are looking for a spacious mid-range car, the Peugeot 407 is not really for you. A better choice would be its semi-twin Citroën C5. Peugeot, on the other hand, rewards you with good handling and ride comfort, as well as above-average styling. It is more of an alternative to a large compact, such as the Peugeot 307, than to cars like the Ford Mondeo or Volkswagen Passat. Is it worth it? Considering the price, yes. Thanks for listening to me. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and rate my video. If you know of any problems with this car that I haven't mentioned, be sure to write about them in the comments.